This is Off the Break Podcast, presented by Silver Screen Insider.
And we're back at Off the Break Podcast. I'm Cody, and with me is just Kyle today.
Only me. Eric had to leave early.
Yeah, he went out of town for the holiday, so you're going to get Off the Break Podcast today, and then a really quick one next week, just right before, on Christmas Eve, right before Christmas, because we are not going to be in the office after.
No, that would be ridiculous.
I know. No one, film companies aren't open. We're not going to be here.
Yeah, might as well. But we still figured to give you guys a little treat.
Yeah, and then in the new year, we'll be back with all three of us.
Yeah, so now it's all kind of crazy right now.
Right.
Without Eric, but
Without Eric. We'll manage.
But we'll do just fine, and he'll be back in no time.
So we just wanted to kind of touch base on a couple of the films coming out this weekend. Cats. I like your little comment here, Kyle. You're like, yikes. We'll get into that.
Yeah.
A little independent, indie movie kind of came out. Rise of Skywalker, I think it's called.
Something like that.
Something like that.
I've heard it's going to be big.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's some few trailers. Universal may land a Lego deal.
Yeah, that one was a very surprising deal that I found out this week.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that later, of course.
So I guess we should get into it. Neither one of us saw Cat's early show, but I don't know if we needed to.
Apparently, everyone has already told us enough.
Yes.
And our eyes have witnessed enough in the trailers.
And let's just say we're not surprised, and we weren't alone in feeling that the cats were a little bit creepy and off-putting.
Yeah. And apparently the effects still didn't seem finished in the premieres that they did to make it look better. So, ooh.
Yeah.
Not good for Universal for the holidays.
And I just don't know if they were ever going to really make a movie out of it. I mean, we talked about in previous podcasts that movie is visual storytelling, and if you don't have a plot or a real story, what are you going to fill the time with? I mean, I think this film lacked that. I think people are missing that. At least the critics were.
Yeah, I mean, it's already such a hard play to get into to begin with. Like, I don't know, like, the full story or everything behind it, but just from what I hear about it, it's just a play that doesn't really know I don't know if it doesn't know what its story is, but it just has a hard time like figuring out what its story is.
So vague.
It's so vague, but it's just so crazy and bonkers that people just get drawn to it. Like as a play, like with the dancing and the costumes, like those are the elements that get drawn into it. But when you're taking those parts away of that movie, plus with a story that doesn't even know what its story is in the first place, it's not gonna transition well.
No.
And I think, seeing from what the critics have said, that's the case, on top of the effects being pretty poor.
Right. I think that they relied so much on the effects and then to fall so short of that.
Yeah. I thought I was hearing throughout the office, like apparently the director is still having to edit the thing while the premiere was happening. I thought I heard that from one of our coworkers. I can't remember now, but like they read it in an article somewhere. But
we struggled getting a proper runtime because we were told one thing, it ended up being another that varied wildly. They didn't even have the rating down.
Yeah, they initially had the rating to be PG, but we kept hearing from them that it was PG-13, and they were very adamant about it.
Yeah, but
only for them to be like, oops, we made a mistake. Turns out it's family friendly.
Yeah.
Instead of the dark, gritty PG-13 movie we thought it would be.
Dark, gritty PG-13. Back alley cats.
Yeah, it wasn't that, and on top of the embargo not being lifted and a premiere not happening until like days before.
You knew that wasn't a good sign.
It wasn't a good sign. Yeah. Yeah,
no.
For us at the office anyway.
I guess I feel bad because it does look like a lot of time, energy, and soul went into making it.
Absolutely.
I think the cast really gave it their all, and
no one looks like they're doing bad, at least from footage I've seen.
It had big names in it. I mean, Taylor Swift, Idris Elba, Jennifer Hudson. I mean, these are all
Ian McKellen, Judi Dench is in there.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That had a great cast. It's just, I think the concept wasn't super well thought out. And then to go against Star Wars, I mean, I'm sorry, that little independent Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, especially after these reviews, I could see audiences, audiences going more towards Star Wars or Jumanji before their third choice being Cats.
I think Universal thought that it would work out how Greatest Showman for Fox worked out before. So Greatest Showman didn't open very wide. Like, it opened pretty wide, but it didn't get a very high gross. I think it was only like 8 million. So
I'd have to look into that, but it
low.
was pretty low.
Yeah. But so audiences were still, around the big tent poles at that time. But then when you get into January and there's not a lot, unless you're after the Oscar films, it had a lot of legs. And I'm thinking that Universal is still really hoping for that. Although with bad reviews, I don't know if that's going to happen for them, because Greatest Showman didn't have bad reviews.
Nor did it have very terrifying imagery.
No. And it had songs
it looks nice. It's a nice looking movie.
It had songs that translated into like the cultural zeitgeist. And the Cat songs have been around so long, I don't see them translating the same impact as new songs you've not heard of, like what happened with Greatest Showman.
I mean, maybe the big song of theirs, that song Memories, that'll probably be the one. But other than that, though, I don't see many people like bringing up Cats music, like they're not, it's not quite like that.
Right. So I think they'll struggle a little bit more, but
yeah. Which is a bummer. I was hoping to be surprised in hearing good things, but they're not looking pretty.
I'm really trying to decide if I want to spend the money out of morbid curiosity to
I don't
go
blame
watch
you.
it.
I think there will be an audience. Well, there'll be an audience that loves the play and will go see it regardless.
Right.
But I think there will be a small audience where they're like, this looks so bad, but
I gotta see how bad it is.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to help the box office at all for the studio, but there'll be a crowd.
Yeah. I definitely might be one of those people that I wasn't interested in this movie at all. I'm just not into musicals.
Sure. Yeah.
I kind of want to see how creepy this looks.
Did you like Greatest Showman?
I never saw it because I
never
don't like
saw it. Oh, okay. I thought you did. Okay.
No.
For some reason, I thought you did.
I never saw Les Mis either.
Actually, I never got around to that one either.
The closest thing I've had to a musical is Frozen 2.
I don't know if that quite counts, but I see what you mean, though.
Right. Don't do the whole like song and dance movie.
Right. Not everyone's cup of tea.
Well, we should get into that little, you might have heard of it, film, Rise of Skywalker.
Heard of Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, you may, you might be in the
I don't
know.
think I'm familiar.
You're not familiar with it.
I don't believe so.
It is.
I know I went to see a movie. I don't know if it was that one.
I think it's the end of a saga. Or
like
a saga of a saga.
Really? A saga of a... Is that even possible?
I think it spans, 40 years timeline now?
Give or take. But
maybe
yes.
That's why you haven't heard of it, Kyle.
Yeah, because I'm so
You weren't
young.
alive when it...
I wasn't alive when it first
ones.
came out.
So how do you think? How was it? How was the culmination of 40 plus years of
it's
the story?
Fine. It's I'm trying to find a good place to start.
Right, because no spoilers.
No, I will not spoil this movie.
I haven't got to see it yet. I don't want to know anything about it, just general I'm
going to soak this in and enjoy.
Yeah, because I have not asked him how it ends. It's very rare of me. What was the last movie I did ask you?
The one I saw last week, probably.
It wasn't Jumanji. It was one before that.
It might have been Jumanji. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's for about every movie. That's
I know.
for sure.
It's like one of the first questions I ask him. But this one I don't want to know. I didn't want to know.
And I will not be telling you nor anyone else how it ends.
So,
as of now.
General feelings, because the critic reviews have been really mixed. And
they have.
And it's not that I think we've gotten any negative bad reviews. It's mostly just disappointing. And I don't know, is that because we build it up so much as this big colossal thing, or is it just actually disappointing in its storytelling?
It's not because of the buildup. It has storytelling issues. It's very apparent right from the beginning that this movie is going to do its best to be a culmination of not this trilogy, but as well as the other movies, while also trying to leapfrog over The Last Jedi very much, and as well as kind of redo elements of The Force Awakens as well. And I'm
was
not
J.J. Abrams like,
I'm not joking.
Now that I have a second go at this, let's redo this part.
No, it really is that though.
Oh my gosh.
But it really comes across more often than not as a little bit lazy and, like you were saying, mostly disappointing, because for me personally, I enjoyed Force Awakens. I enjoyed The Last Jedi, but I'm seeing them here trying to recalculate misstep to please, different groups of people who didn't like one movie or the other, and instead it just becomes kind of a messy plot. It kind of almost feels like some lazy writing at times. But the elements where the storytelling tries to pay homage to what was done before, I think for the most part does a pretty good job. It works well with the story that we're in Rise of Skywalker. The moments where those don't work, though, are very obvious and very kind of disappointing because of just how much they don't work.
Oh, man. How did they treat Princess Leia, Carrie Fisher? I know that it was only for a short bit she's in it because they had to reuse old footage, but was it done well? Was it weird? Did it feel like seamless in the story? Or
it might feel weird to people who don't realize that that's not technically Carrie Fisher. Like, it is, but it's not for the movie. Like, I think people not knowing that will go in and will be like, oh, okay, that was her arc and that's what they did, and all right, that's cool. And it worked for me personally. I liked how they incorporated her into the story. I'll understand if people are like, that doesn't quite work. Like, I'll understand it, but it didn't bother me.
Right. Well, there's always going to be a little bit of that because you don't have that person there to say the lines that would make it actually feel a part of the story. So you're just trying to reuse old footage that it was never meant for. Yeah,
it works, but I think some people might be able, who are paying attention to this stuff closely, will be like, I don't know if that's quite the context of what she was saying earlier. The best parts of this movie for me were the arcs between Rey and Kylo. I think that they are so much fun to watch. The best parts of this movie.
I think they were the best parts of Last Jedi. So do they continue that?
That's almost one part of Last Jedi where JJ keeps. Yeah. They keep that interconnection between those two characters, and I think Daisy Ridley and Adam Driver just know their characters so well, despite the script being so weak, that they're still able to elevate their characters and make us just love and enjoy them even more so.
Nice.
So that part was definitely my biggest takeaway. That's the part I really enjoyed.
Did they kill Han Solo again?
I should not be telling you any spoilers, Cody.
If they kill him again because I'm going to go see it on my birthday, I will be done with J.J. Abrams and all of Disney.
You will riot.
I will riot.
Speaking of riots, I think coming out of this movie that this movie will actually make quite a few fans happy. I think it was at the cost of good storytelling for the most part. For a fandom, I think this will at least be like, ooh, okay, well, it wasn't perfect, but it was the conclusion we were hoping for. Like, it checked off the boxes that we wanted as fans, and that's clearly what this type of movie was. It will make people happy, and they will enjoy it, and it will feel like Star Wars, which that's the best part. It always will feel like Star Wars, but I think it comes at the cost of solid storytelling, like what was done in The Last Jedi, and actually Force Awakens. I thought that story was pretty good too. So.
Yeah.
I get where the critics were coming from for the most part.
The film did $40 million in Thursday night previews, which sounds enormous, but it's actually behind Force Awakens and Last Jedi. I think Last Jedi did $45 million, so it's $5 million less.
Okay. And Force Awakens was probably much bigger than that.
Oh, yeah. I think Force Awakens was like 57. I think
okay.
One of the biggest all-time Thursday night previews. I think that part of the reason why it may be lower is some trepidation on people because Last Jedi just was tough. And I don't know if the movie was really that bad or if it just snowballed into this bad reaction.
Oh, it was for me, it was a snowball. I rewatched the movie and I still love it.
And then I think
it also might be the best of this series of movies.
Oh no!
And by that I mean it is.
I cannot wait to talk about that after we've all seen it.
I am so excited for Eric's response.
Yeah, Star Wars debate.
I have guesses of what he'll say, but I cannot wait. I'm so excited, and I hope he loved it too. I hope Eric loved this movie.
I hope so. He was worried that he was going to be disappointed.
Yeah, which I don't want that on poor Eric.
He loves Star Wars so much. We don't want him to be disappointed.
Yeah.
I wonder if that $5 million difference was due maybe to trepidation, but also due to Mandalorian. that people got their Star Wars fix. They didn't feel that need to rush out.
Maybe to a degree, but I don't think it's as bad as people would make it out to be. I mean, The Mandalorian is on a streaming service. You can go and watch it anytime.
That's what I'm saying, though. That there's a pressure valve of pent-up anticipation, and I think Mandalorian eased some of that off.
So it made people not warranted to rush to the theater?
Yeah.
I could see that to a degree. I don't think it's as big of a number as you're probably thinking that it is. Because for me, seeing it on a streaming service, I know that's always there. So like as soon as the movie's done, I could rush home and catch up on Mandalorian. So even if I was disappointed by by Rise of Skywalker or not, I still have at least Mandalorian to be like, ooh, this is nice. This is really good. Nice. And especially because this recent episode was pretty darn good from what I've heard.
Really?
Like maybe the best of the show, I believe, so far.
We'll have to... I am waiting until The Mandalorian concludes before I decide if I want to see it or not.
All right.
But, yeah.
Yeah, so those were my initial thoughts on Rise of Skywalker.
Would you go see it again? Will you see it again?
Odds are I'll probably be finding myself to go see it again, probably with people who invite me. Honestly, though, the one time was good right now.
The one time was good.
Yeah, I got my fix of Star Wars that I wanted. I enjoyed myself in the theater.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, though, I could see the problems that were arising in its story.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see it. I'm waiting till after Christmas. So when we get back in our New Year podcast, we'll discuss all things Star Wars then.
Yeah, I think that'll be when the big spoiler talk happens.
Oh, super
It'll
spoiler
be like 2
talk.
weeks. People will have seen it.
Yeah. Oh, if you hadn't seen it, you go out and see it.
Yeah. I mean, I do recommend it. It's just not as strong.
Not as strong. Is that directing, writing, or just overall overproducing it?
Overproducing?
Yeah, like where the studio is like, we have to do this. I feel like sometimes it's that you can get that feeling in a film where you know that an executive somewhere said, nope, I'm changing the decision.
Oh, no. I mean, I got that feeling in quite a few movies this year. So I'm totally with you on that. I do think it's a mixture of overproducing, making sure those boxes are being checked off for what to correct in the franchise, mixed in with writing that struggled with trying to figure out how to make everyone happy without thinking of if the plot makes sense or if it's cohesive enough with the rest of the franchise. Are these the right decisions to do with these characters or whatnot? These are just examples. Yeah, I think it's a mixture between those two.
And, J.J. Abrams has come out and said he's terrible with endings, that he doesn't usually like to do them. He likes to throw a big, like, what if kind of cliffhanger thing out there. And
yeah, so getting him
not have to deal with the repercussions of any of his creative decisions.
Getting him to come back to this franchise when he hasn't been around the creative process from The Last Jedi, only to have to course correct what was done in The Last Jedi in the first place, is not the best
use
move.
Of his talents.
Yeah, it's not that. I get what they were going for, but at the end of the day, it might have been a misfire. I don't blame it fully on him, though, because he's not one of the writers in this movie, I don't believe. Right. But nonetheless, though, like it's just a combination between the writing and the overproducing.
I didn't like some of the decisions made in Last Jedi. Mm-hmm. Like I've always stated, I didn't love what they did with Luke Skywalker, and to lose him then at the end was just disappointing for me. But I don't hate it so much that I needed it course corrected in this one. Like you couldn't bring him back alive. So for me, you just accept the decisions made in the last one and try to make the best story you can moving forward with the characters you have. And
yeah, I agree.
And
I agree that's what you should do.
I hope that's how it was carried out. But I've also said that I'm excited for this movie, but I am not happy they brought back Palpatine. I would have just been happy for him to just not be around again. In some ways, it's kind of neat that he's the overarching villain of all three sagas.
There's something cool about the idea of him just being there for all of it.
Yeah, there for all of it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool. I like on the flip side of that like C-3PO and R2-D2 are there for all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, I don't know.
And it's those, I guess not those specifically, but it just reminds me of like the parts that were fan servicey or that were homages. Like they did work very well. And I remember being like, oh yeah, I remember liking those. But still, throughout the rest of the story, it still is pretty messy with it, trying to redo a whole bunch.
Well, we always say that these movies live and die based off the story because it's visual storytelling. If you don't tell a good story, I don't care how many special effects or what IP you're dealing with.
It feels like nothing.
Yeah, it feels like nothing at the end. And that could have been what they did with this one. But I don't know. I'm going to wait till I see it to judge. Yeah. Maybe I'll really love it.
It's possible. Yeah, like I said, I do think a lot of people will like this movie.
Yep. Well, moving on then from that, because we don't want to give away any more spoilers or anything. Let's talk about the Universal getting Legos. So what happened with this, Kyle? Because Warner's has distributed all of the Lego movie and spinoffs.
Yeah, since the start of 2014 with the Lego movie. What happened was that Lego was noticing that the movies that they make, they've been making less and less money for them. The box office numbers weren't there. And we saw that with Lego Movie 2 and Lego Ninjago especially.
Oh, Ninjago was a hot mess, though.
Sure.
It's not based off the TV show, which is already there. And to be fair, though, like there were no Lego shows before Lego Movie came out. So it's like the same thing. There was no Star Wars as before Force Awakens for a while. And then they spun it off into little TV shows on Netflix and things. And so we have seasons and seasons of Lego Ninjago. So there was really no reason to go see a Lego Ninjago movie. I had like 5 seasons of it. And the seasons, I would argue, are way better than that movie was.
Sure. And Lego recognized these numbers were dropping and their deal was expiring with Warner's this fall. And they just expired completely. They're no longer with Warner's, apparently. Found this all out yesterday from Hollywood Reporter, so there's that. But now they're in talks. They've been in talks with multiple studios, but it apparently seems like that Universal is the one that might be able to ink a deal with them. Ooh. So it might be happening sooner than later.
Well, I think in some ways Universal's a good fit. It's a bigger studio. They can, just like Warner's, they can throw a lot of resources at it. It'd be a better one than, say, Lionsgate or Sony or one of the smaller ones that may not have as much resources.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Distribution patterns, that sort of thing. Universal will always go pretty wide with it.
Yeah,
so
they're good with children's material too, I think.
Yeah, they got their Minions and Rise of Gru. I'm a little hesitant.
Rise of Gru?
Yeah, the new Minions movie,
Rise
is that
what it's
Gru.
Called? Oh, I had no idea. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what's Rise of Gru?
They've got that coming out this summer. I think they got another Sing 2 at Christmas time.
They're making it. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
I did not know these things.
So they have their Illumination animation studio. Yeah. So they have experience with it, which is nice. I'm sad because it was always great dealing with Warner's, and I thought Warner's did a good job. I don't feel like the declining sales were anything to do with Warner's, and I think it had more to do with, the story and over merchandising it.
That and the appeal for it might have been disappearing too.
Right.
I mean, the first Lego movie was just such a big surprise.
Yep.
And it did so well. Lego Batman, I think the surprise was still there. Plus, it's Batman, so people want to go see it.
Yeah.
And then Lego Ninjago was probably like the first misstep just because it's not too familiar. Like, there's also really no reason to have that when there's the TV show too.
Yeah.
And then Lego Movie 2, I feel like it just was a couple years too late. They probably should have tried to release that maybe a year sooner or so.
It was too late, and it was, I don't know. It just didn't connect the same way that the first one connected. I didn't think the story was as good.
They'll probably distribute it very well if it goes to Universal. I think that move is probably very smart on Lego's part.
As long as it stays with Warner's or Universal, which have really good policies regarding children's content repertory.
And it'll be good counter programming with all the children's programming from Disney, so there's that too.
Yeah. So those two studios always go really wide with their children's programming, their family animated stuff. So that's good. So theaters won't be denied access to it. And then they can always pick it up, in repertory bookings, which is really nice. Because if it goes somewhere, Sony would be the same way. But if it went to Disney, Disney doesn't allow that. So you get cut off your access to it. Disney, it would never have gone there because they have enough animation.
You don't think Disney would have? Do you think Disney was one of the ones that they talked to?
I'm sure they tried, but I don't see it as being something Disney would want to take up. I think Disney wants to own all their stuff. I don't think they want to license anything.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Just for distribution.
Yeah, that would probably make sense then.
If Disney would have to do it, they would want all of the licensing for all the merchandising, and I'm sure that that's not part of. This is just film distribution part.
Right. Okay, that makes sense when you put it that way.
Plus, they've got Pixar. They've got Blue Sky now because of the merger with Fox.
Yeah, that's right.
They've got their own in-house animation. I just don't see where another animation property fits into that. But
yeah, I guess you're right. I mean, I guess I just see it as Disney. You can never go wrong with. Having more content, more stuff. Disney Plus, baby. Let's have Lego shows.
Disney doesn't need any more.
I mean, we don't think Disney needs any more. They may think otherwise.
But it is going now to the studio that has all the DreamWorks animated stuff. So Universal will have Illumination, they'll have DreamWorks, and now they may or may not have Lego, which is a known. Yeah,
that's not going to be too good. They'll have to find a way to be able to get more recognizable brands back to them somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. That wasn't the angle that I was thinking about either. Warner's will still be fine, but what are they going to do to fill that void?
Warner's has their own animation department.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I mean, what can you think of Warner's animation other than Lego that's been, a go must see type of movie?
I'm trying to think.
I mean, for some reason, the last one I think of is Smallfoot, but that was like a year ago. They had to have other animated movies than that.
I don't know.
Yeah, so this
might be a big loss for Warner's.
Yeah,
we'll have to look into that a little bit more. It's probably a good thing for Universal, probably a loss for Warner's. Maybe Warner's will just put more into their own original animations with their Warner Animation.
They certainly could. I mean, it's possible that they can find something and it'll become a big success. It's just
Smallfoot was cute, but it wasn't great.
Yeah, and who's thinking about Smallfoot now? And unlike Lego Movie, people think about that more than Smallfoot probably. I don't even know if Smallfoot was the most recent one of Warner Bros.' animation. It's just what comes to mind. Yeah, they'll have to figure that out. I'm sure they will.
Yeah.
Usually they're able to find something that works and it turns into something big. But as of right now, Warner's may have been like, ooh, drop the ball on that one.
Drop the ball a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, there's some trailers we can talk about.
Yeah, one of them is from Warner's.
And
They love their Christopher Nolan.
Yep, actually,
who doesn't?
Looks pretty good. The Tenet trailer finally released.
Yes.
No
longer just in theaters with that weird tease thing that they kept doing. Finally, something out online.
Yeah, and you saw both of the stars. Is that Robert Pattinson in it?
Robert Pattinson and John David Washington.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it looked like him, and I'm like. But it's just so quick, the scenes. You don't really get a good visual on anybody other than John David Washington.
Yeah.
So, but I was a little frustrated. It is very cerebral, very meta, very vague, and it's
very Christopher Nolan.
Oh my gosh. It was almost annoying. Please just tell me what this is about.
No, it's a mystery. Nolan loves his mysteries.
Yeah. I was just meh about the trailer.
Oh, I am completely in love with this movie. It already was one of my most anticipated for next year, but now with the trailer, I'm like,
I feel like
I'm just so excited for this.
I feel like you and Eric would be really excited about this film.
Oh yeah, he probably would too. I mean, Nolan's one of the best directors out there. He always knows how to tell a good story. And this one's no different. Like something about it makes you like it's like Inception, but it still feels different. And I'm really happy that I get this good in between, and it looks good.
Maybe that's why I was like meh, because I was like, I feel like he's done this already, and with the like backwards
the time stuff and like what's real and what isn't type of thing.
Maybe I'm just not in the mood for it right now. Maybe I've got so much.
You just can't deal with it right now.
Maybe I've got so much going on that I'm like, no, just quick, explain it to me in like succinct terms. Don't give me vagueness. I don't have time to be like, what are you talking about?
Just give it to you straight.
Yeah. So,
but people like it, and people like this stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's going to do very well. I mean,
got 1 out of 2 stars in this office.
I'll be the 1 star. I'll take it.
Yeah.
I know Eric will back me up.
He will. It'll get 2 out of 3 stars.
Yeah.
Then the next one was the Top Gun trailer.
It's the second trailer.
Right, but I think it's so much better. It actually goes into more of the story. Although it looks like almost a shot for shot of the original.
It does, but just based on the trailer, it for some reason works for me. Like for some reason it feels like homages to what was done before, but it feels right. I mean, it could end up falling apart when I see the movie, but
it feels like it's good.
For the trailer's purposes, it feels good that they're doing it that way.
I've liked what I've seen.
Yeah. The imagery in it is amazing. It looks like they're doing an excellent job with all the flying scenes.
Right. Maybe I just am in the mood for a good old-fashioned action movie.
Yeah.
I feel like this is what that is. Like a harken back to 80s and 90s action movie where it's just an easy, simple story and just, I don't know. I think so I'm more excited about this one for sure.
And that's fair. I get that because I'm getting more excited for this one too, surprisingly. Top Gun's not a movie for me personally where I'm like, I just love it so much, right. But I feel like it is one of those movies that does that for a lot of people. And I think with this trailer looking good for the modern time.
Oh, I think it's going to have a slow rumble of excitement and anticipation. I think it's going to build.
I'm hoping that this trailer wasn't released too early.
No.
Because sometimes, trailers get released too soon and then we forget about them. And then all of a sudden we, for some reason, just get tired of hearing that this movie's coming out. And
I don't feel like they're doing that. I feel like they're they want to capitalize on Star Wars, so they're hoping to.
Yeah, it played well during Star Wars.
Right, it was a great trailer.
Crowd seemed to have liked it.
Yeah, I think it's a good time because people are kind of ready and open for it. And then as long as they don't just keep throwing stuff out, but Tom Cruise is such a showman. He does so good promoting these things.
Yeah, definitely.
I think it'll be fine. I'll be interested. I am hoping that they do something fun with it at CinemaCon.
Oh, that's a good point. I think that's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll even screen it. We can only cross our fingers, right?
I think what will hold it back from being screened is them working on the editing for
probably
this
the special
movie,
effects.
because there's still quite a bit of work of it to do, probably.
Yeah.
Especially with the flying scenes, you have to make sure those are going to work so well.
DH Tom Cruise.
So that'll probably take another couple weeks.
Yeah.
But I do think that's possible. Paramount goes to CinemaCon all the time. They always do a pretty good job there from what you've told me over the past few years. And
I hope
that's possible that they could screen that.
Yeah.
Especially since that's probably their blockbuster
or
movie.
Exclusive clips. Because, when they had Mission Impossible, they didn't screen it, but they brought the Halo jump and they had Tom Cruise come with Henry Cavill and talk about the Halo jump.
That's a great scene to show.
Yeah, from that last part of that last Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
So maybe they'll do something similar with, because I think Top Gun comes out at a similar time
it's in
end
the
of
summer.
July.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the summer season. Yeah. That's probably going to be their summer movie that they hope is a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see them going to CinemaCon then and promote that.
In the they've got Quiet Place 2
in April.
I think
March.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had a teaser, 10-second teaser thing released online recently, and it's just to prepare you for a trailer coming on New Year's Day. So be on the lookout for that because I'm very curious. Not really wanting a Quiet Place sequel, but I'm open.
I don't think you need one. I saw
Same. Yeah.
I never saw Quiet Place because I don't like horror films, especially when there's little kids involved and the little kid dies in the beginning.
This is not up your alley. No.
And then when I saw the trailer, this little 30-second thing, I was like, oh yeah, John Krasinski's not in it because he sacrificed himself, so there's no dad. And now they have a baby, and I'm sorry, but it's just so unrealistic to keep a baby quiet. It just is, unless you...
It's a bit tricky.
Yeah. I don't...
You have to think they're going to lean into that in this sequel. Like, they're probably going to have instances where the baby is suddenly like, ooh, something. Like, they scream something,
because that's
cries.
all they do, because that's the only way they can communicate.
And so they're probably going to be like, oh, run from the monster things. I forget what they were.
Yeah.
If they even had a name, but...
Maybe they figure out how to kill him, and then it's about them killing the monsters. That'd probably be good. I don't know. I always thought that was so crazy that she has a baby, and to keep a baby quiet, that was just never going to work.
I will admit that part was a bit far-fetched, but I still liked it.
Yeah.
It's still really good.
So yeah, that's kind of it for all the stuff we have to go over. Just short and sweet. It's all dominated by Star Wars talk, and since we can't really get into that, we're not all seeing it at the same time.
Yeah.
We got holidays coming up. So
yeah, with lots of releases.
Yeah.
Should we go over them?
Well, yeah. So this weekend was Cats and Bombshell, Cats and Star Wars. And the next week,
well, Bombshell opened up wide.
Oh yeah,
on
it
the
did.
20th.
I was thinking
it's just that no one's talking about it.
Yeah, I was thinking that for some reason it was the 13th. No, Bombshell opened up wide this week. I haven't heard anything about that.
No, I just heard, critics talking about it like a week or two ago. Yeah. But as for the general public, I think it's just getting pushed under the rug for Star Wars.
And then
even Jumanji, really.
Yeah. And then on Christmas Day, we've got, what do we got? We got Little Women.
Yeah, we've got Little Women, Spice in Disguise.
Uncut Gems.
That's being released, I don't know how wide, but it is being released wide. It
wider.
Says.
Yeah.
1917 will not be...
That's New York, LA only.
Yeah, it's not going to be released wide until the 10th of January.
Yeah.
Which is a bummer because I really want to see that now.
Yeah.
I've been really excited for that one.
No, that's just a Oscar qualification run in New York and LA.
Little Women, I will be seeing on Christmas, actually.
Yeah, with your mom, right?
I'll be seeing with my mom, my sister, and my girlfriend. So,
the women in your life.
Yeah, actually. But no, I'm very curious about that one. They know a lot more about Little Women than I do, so I'll be going into it a little blind, but I'll be seeing how people who love this material react to it.
Yeah.
And that'll be cool.
That'll be good. That'll be at least some new stuff at that time. And then there's nothing on the 27th.
Oh yeah, that's not the weekend, is it?
That's not the weekend. No, it's Wednesday.
No,
Christmas
nothing
Day
wide
opening.
being released on the 27th. Pretty much it'll just be start of Christmas through January 3rd.
And then we have Grudge.
Which I don't know what to make of that.
Another Grudge movie.
They just need to put a movie there, so might as well be that.
A horror movie.
Yeah, I have nothing to say about that. I have no thoughts.
So gosh, when we get back, we won't have it. We'll just have a little bit of Star Wars stuff to talk about on Tuesday, Christmas Eve, and then when we get back, we have so many movies to go over. Yeah,
I'm really looking forward to it. There's going to be a lot of movie talk.
Yeah, so much movie talk. I got to go see Little Women or Spies or something. Maybe I'll take the boys to Spies in Disguise.
I think they'll get a kick out of that one.
I keep wanting to call it Pigeon Impossible because that's what that short was based on.
Yeah, the short film was called, it's based on a short film called Pigeon Impossible.
That's how we refer to it when we talk about it. Like that Pigeon Impossible movie.
I don't know. For some reason that movie from the get-go, I'm always like, what's the point? Why is he a pigeon? Like what?
Right.
Whatever.
He explains it in the trailer because it's the best camouflage because they're everywhere and no one pays attention to him.
Yeah,
he can see his butt.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. It's just a weird idea. I don't know.
Right.
I don't know what to make of it.
Yeah. Will Smith. Maybe this will be the comeback he needs.
That's the comeback he needs. It wasn't Gemini Man, that's for sure.
No. Or Will Smith. They're going to make another Aladdin, I think.
Of course they are.
I wonder if he'll be in it. Genie.
Have you heard on Disney Plus they're thinking about making a spin-off show of that prince that shows up briefly?
The German prince.
Yeah.
I can't remember
so
what his name
stupid.
is.
I don't remember.
But he was so awkward and so weird, and
I only love the idea because it gives that actor work. I'm really digging that actor in comedic roles, because that's all I've seen him in so far anyway. But the idea is so stupid. Don't do that.
Dumb.
Don't do that. So I'm very conflicted. Yeah. Anyway, I just remember that and didn't know if you heard about it. Stuff.
Well, we'll be back on Tuesday. I think we're gonna try something where Eric sends in some audio on his thoughts, so we'll at least be able to add that in.
Yeah.
May or may not. We'll see if he gets that to us in time.
Yeah, hopefully they'll be able to work out. We'd love for him to kind of be a part of things since he's away.
Otherwise, it's going to be a super short week next week.
Yeah. Super short episode, but again, why not? It's Christmas Eve.
Right.
Let's give y'all a Christmas present. How about that?
Kyle, should everybody go out and see Star Wars this weekend?
Yeah.
Should they check silverscreeninsider.com first?
Well, they should always check Silver Screen Insider before any movie.
Are you going to have a review?
I have my review up right now.
Okay, so they should probably check your review. Does it contain spoilers?
No spoilers.
Spoiler-free review.
Yeah, always make sure to not spoil things for people.
Go read that so that your expectations are at the perfect level, so you are neither disappointed in it nor totally shocked by anything. Yeah. So go check that out.
Yeah. Plus we have other sorts of articles, including talking about the Universal Lego deal.
Yep.
Plus an entire movie database full of all the resources a theater owner or manager will need. Right. And our podcast is on there as well as other podcast platforms, including Spotify. We did it.
We did it. We're there.
We're there, people. But yeah, please check us out and please spread the word about us and our services.
Yeah. And go check out the Star Wars entry on Silver Screen Insider. They have some really awesome throwback character posters that look like 80s retro ones.
It's the nostalgic feels.
I just think those posters look so cool. And if I was a manager, I would want to be at least showcasing those on my digital billboards or in my sign cases.
I know I would.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Have a good weekend, and we'll be back next week. Take care.
Right. Bye.